Hey everyone, Nebula here. So, I really like horror games, and I liked them so much that I couldn't decide on which one I wanted to speedrun next. So, I thought it would be a good idea to let all of you decide through a poll on Discord. And you lot decided on... Poppy Playtime. So, just to preface the run, this is a no major glitches run, which means no clipping out of the map and skipping the whole game. There's also a few strategies that I didn't use throughout the run that I will talk about when it becomes relevant, but anyway, the timer starts when you first move the player out of the camera and is started by an auto splitter. To start the run, we run straight to the left to the passcoded door and input the code green, pink, yellow, red. The codes are the same at the start of every run, so all we really skip by knowing it is having to check the room to the right to get the code from the train that drives around. Now, I'm sorry about this, but before we can continue talking about the run, we need to talk about how speedruns are timed. Depending on the game and the category, runs can be timed in real time, also known as RTA or real-time attack, or in-game time, or GTA or game time attack. Now, whether a category uses RTA or GTA is entirely up to the moderators of the leaderboard. However, most popular categories these days use game time as it removes load times from the final timings. It also means that the hardware the run was done on isn't much of a factor in the run, so it just makes it more fair for everyone involved. Poppy Playtime is one of those games that uses game time, which means we can abuse the game's checkpoint system to skip most of the major doors, which will save a couple of seconds here and there. I didn't do this because I couldn't figure out how to bind my live split pause button to the game pause button, but it's something that the world record does multiple times and saves time on across the whole run. Once you input the code, you can save a couple of seconds of waiting for the door to open by reloading the checkpoint, which is conveniently in the room that you just unlocked. Bash the VHS into the VCR and skip the little cutscene. You can actually do this from the pause menu, so you can do it without getting a time loss, and then wait patiently for your blue little grabby hand thing to be finished cooking. When the game actually lets you grab your new little arm, just moonwalk back through the room until you reach the door, turn around and shoot the conveniently hand-shaped button pressure plate thing that I'm not entirely sure what it actually is supposed to be above the shutter in the other room. This is another door that you can abuse the game's checkpoint system on. You just need to wait for the bar to fill, and if you reload your save, it skips the opening animation for the most part. And just so it doesn't disrupt the flow of the video too much, I believe this is the case with most of the major doors, so I won't mention it from now on. Once you're through the shutters, you need to quickly tap the button to your left as you walk in. Now, because Playtime Co's Lecky's done to about the same standard as my local county council, once you hit the button the generator shorts, and the door that takes you through to the breaker's locked, which is fucking typical honestly. Luckily, someone decides to drop you off a key to get in. You've just got to look away from the Huggy Wuggy statue for a couple of seconds. In all honesty, I'm not actually sure how the key is triggered, but I'm pretty sure you've got to look away from the statue. Anyway, go through that door and get yourself acquainted with the game's favourite puzzle type for this chapter. Walk through the room to get to the actual breaker and shoot your hand at it to pop the cover. I'm almost 100% certain that the cover's meant to come off, but it didn't for me, but it doesn't really matter though, it just makes it harder to see what you're supposed to grab. Grab onto the exposed wiring and wrap your now conductive arms around the pylons that are in the middle of the room, and before you go, just don't let OSHA know you did that. What they know doesn't hurt them. Once you're done sorting the lecky, pop the shutter and follow the totally not ominous beckoning blue hand at the end of the hallway. Before you do that, though, I get to talk about some nerdy shit again, so bear with me a second. So, now's the time for me to introduce you to F11 Strat. I didn't use any of these in my run, which actually lost me quite a bit of time, but I'll get into that. The gist of these strategies is that when the grab pack is fully extended, you press the F11 key to change the game from full screen to windowed mode, and this causes the game's frame rate to dip to around 1 to 5 frames a second for a moment, which, for whatever reason, causes you to be pulled to where the hands are. These flings are admittedly very situational, and they're only actually used twice in the whole run, I believe. Once right here, and once towards the end to skip having to walk up the flight of stairs in the Build-A-Toy room, but I still think they're really fucking cool and worth talking about. Admittedly, I would have liked to talk about these in more depth, but I couldn't find anything on why lowering the frame rate causes these hands to interact differently, and when I asked in the Poppy Playtime Speedrun in Discord, they told me this. So it looks like the inner workings of it are a bit of a mystery to everyone. Alright, anyway, nerdy shit over. Follow Huggy Wuggy beckoning you into the other room and just follow it around and up the stairs. Normally you would need to find and collect all of the fuses in order to get the conveyor belt working again, which gets the red hand to drop down to somewhere where you can actually reach it. That takes too long though, and luckily for us the devs left the flag to let you grab it on or something, because you can just jump on the boxes to the right, and if you have the right angle you can jump and grab the red hand, skipping the entire puzzle / fetch quest. Take your newly acquired red hand and use it to open the garbage disposal through to the next puzzle. After going into it, hook to the right and follow the corridor around until you can take a ramp on the left. Once you're up that, shoot the little knob thing on the wall, walk backwards to drop off, and just follow the corridor around to the left. It's a dead simple puzzle, but to be honest I'm quite fond of how easy they are. It makes this shit proper easy for me to remember. There's actually a skip here in the world record that I have no idea how to do. It looks like an F11 fling, but I don't know. It makes the room so much fucking quicker though, so here's some footage of it. If anyone does actually know how to do it, please let me know. I do kind of want to go back to this run and see if I can get a faster time using the actual skips, but we'll have to see. Once you get the power working, you get locked into one of my favourite things ever while I'm speedrunning. An unskippable auto-scroller section where you have no control that lasts almost 45 seconds. Which, to be honest, I can't help but laugh at because it's like a significant portion of the run just on this one conveyor belt. And you're never going to guess what. There's another unskippable wait later in the run as well. So right after that little conveyor section, you're going to be dropped into the Make a Toy room. Now, if you want to lose a shitload of time, or if you couldn't get the F11 flings working, like I did, run to the right and up the stairs. However, if you actually want to place in a competitive spot on the leaderboard, you're going to want to run between the two catwalks and grab the handle on the right side with the left hand and the one on the left with the right, making an X shape. Hit F11, and if you got it right, or if the game's just feeling like it, you should land on the rail and where you can grab the power and just walk across the platform and solve the puzzle. Drop back down, hit the button in the center of the room. Once the electricity has actually reached it, it does take a second, and flip the 3 levers that are behind you on the left when they've light up. This starts the second unskippable way of the run, and this time it's even longer than the last one, coming in at a staggering 1 minute and 23 seconds. So this bit wasn't in the original script, I've just done the maths on that. 34% of this run is standing around doing nothing. 34%! By flipping those levers, you've started up a massive fuck-off machine behind you, which is going to make you an absolutely adorable cat bee plushy robot thing, which to be honest would be the perfect marketable plushie for real life. And I was going to make a joke about it, but I couldn't actually find a listing on the official merch store. So I feel like this is a massive missed opportunity. Like, look at him, he's fucking adorable, I'd pay money for it. It wouldn't be the first time I've spent too much money on a marketable plushie from a game either. Anyway, tangent about a non-existent merch aside, once your little guy's done being assembled, take it to the back of the room where there's a scanner. Place it in there to open the door to take us to the last part of the run, the Huggy Wuggy chase. Now, the Huggy chase is, for the most part, incredibly linear with plenty of breathing room, but it's still my favourite part of the chapter, which, to be fair, isn't exactly a high bar. It's the only part of the chapter that has any stakes. For the most part, the chase is just holding W and following the curve of the conveyor. Save a moment at the start where you have to dip into an alternate route to the right, another later in where you have to divert because of a fallen ceiling, and finally towards the end where you have to crouch through another duct. There's also this little bit towards the end where they slam a door on you, but all you have to do is stand and wait for it to open. Once you slide down the ramp, you're at the end of the chase. Walk along the little pathway, turn around and drop the conveniently placed crate on top of Huggy's head. And now there's not much left to the run other than following the catwalks around to the big red graffitied flower on the wall. This door takes you through to the last little bit of the game. Walk through the living room area, which weirdly reminds me of my nan's house, and open the case. The timer stops as soon as the screen starts to flicker black, so my timing was ever so slightly off. I timed myself in at a 6:18, but the leaderboard mods graciously brought me down to a 6:17.5, which puts this run at 395th place, which isn't great, but with how heavily contested the leaderboard is, I'll take it. Like, a lot of these runs are within seconds of each other. I might revisit this run in the future to try and improve it, so if there's any update, I'll leave it in a pinned comment below. If you've enjoyed the video, please consider dropping a like and subscribing. It means a lot to me and tells me that you want to see more of this style of content. If you want to see more of me, I stream on Twitch, which will be somewhere on the screen now. I also have a Blue Sky account that I should admittedly post on more, but that's where I post my random thoughts if you ever want to see those. It'll also be on the screen somewhere. Also, this video was decided on by the good people over in my Discord server. I'll have a link to that as well as any other social media I've mentioned in the description. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you later.